phase 2 of the event process is the design phase. So now we've done our research. We've had a look at whether or not the event is feasible. We've done our SWOT analysis. We've gone through the whole process and we've determined that we can go ahead with this event. Now we have to go back to the client and we have to wow them. Wow them. Because you are only as good as your last event. That's how it works. People want to remember you for the right reasons. Not because that is the worst food I've ever eaten. Remember that place we went to. We want people to remember because they had an amazing time. We tickled all five senses and they had this beautiful experience. And that all comes into the design phase. So how do you design? If you pick a theme, let's take an Egyptian theme. It's not just about taking the theme and taking one or two things. We need to look at how we are going to get to all five senses of that person. Five senses being hearing, smelling, tasting, visual, interesting, and touch. Okay, so we need to bring all those five things into the design phase. We look at things like creative concepts. We have to look at the invitation. We have to look at the decor, the food they eat, the things they touch, the drinks they're drinking. Everything has to be about, we said, Egypt. So it's not just one thing, a one Tutankhamun person thing at the front. It's about a whole process, about them coming in, seeing the shimmering, the gold. It's very rich in color, the theme, and there's a lot of gold, and there's a lot of, what food do they eat in Egypt? Spicy food. Okay, so those are the things we need to look at, and we need to consider this when we move into the design phase. So now when we're creating an invitation, we can do, depends on what it is. If it's a formal dinner, we can do a little card with a beautiful picture that gets delivered in an envelope. But we could really go over the top. We could have like a mummy. We could have all kinds of things that we use as an invitation. When we speak to clients, we're chatting about Egypt. But when we go back to the client, we never go with one theme. Because he might say, oh, you know what, guys, I forgot to tell you, we've actually done that. Or, oh, I don't know if I like it so much. I don't like spicy food. So if we go with one idea every time, it's going to be up and down, and that process is going to take very long. So what we do is we take at least 3 ideas. Okay, so we've got our 3 ideas of invitations, 3 ideas of food, 3 ideas of how this would look and the experience that they would have. How do we get to that creative concept? How do we get to the invitation, to all these beautiful things that we've rolled out now?
Brainstorm.
That's it, we have to brainstorm. Okay, what is brainstorming? Brainstorming is when like a group of people sit together and they just write down anything. So you pick a theme, you say the theme is Egypt, and you say, don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything, write whatever comes to mind. Just write it down, write it down. And some of the ideas are like, whoa. But it's funny and you will laugh with your people. But sometimes in that process, you will say a word, somebody else will think of something, and the next person will say, why don't we do that? And it would be a group effort. And that's how the brain works. Brainstorming is a very, very, very good tool to use when it comes to creative stuff. So we narrow it down to the 3 events that we're going to propose to the client. We take it through, we say, there you go, this is our design work. Obviously at this stage, the client still has input. So he'll say, I really like this idea. So this is the idea I want to go with. But I want you guys to do this differently. Maybe we shouldn't do it outside, maybe we should do it in a hotel. And then of course, he gives you all the information that's going to take you into the next phase that we get to. Design, when we are proposing things to clients, it's one thing to tell someone. I mean, if you close your eyes and you imagine a big cone with beautiful chocolate vanilla ice cream with a beautiful cherry on top, maybe a little flake sticking out, you can imagine it. But if I had an ice cream and I showed you and I let you taste one, you would be like more persuaded, you would want one, you would understand it better. So at this part of the process, when we go and see the client, we take images. We take an image of the invitation. We take artwork and artboards in to show him how we we think the event should be run and what it would look like, so that he can visualize it. Not everyone is visual. Some people respond better with hearing, some people read, there's different kinds of people. But not every person is visual, so no matter how you explain, he might miss some things. This will sell your event if you can show them how you want it to look. Just make sure that when you're doing the event that it looks like what you promised. So we always under-promise, over-deliver, not the other way around. So for the design phase, we're only as good as our last event. We need to be creative. We need to come up with different things and new things. There's so much available. Where do we go for inspiration?
We can go to magazines.
We can look through magazines, the internet, Google. I love Google. Movies.
Books.
Music, yes, music is big. So we find inspiration in many places, and that'll help us to keep our theming really on top of its game and ahead, and to change with the times. You know, there's fashion in events as well. There's a certain way flowers are done. In the 60s or 70s, they had those big bouquets on the table with the greens and the whites, and it like filled the whole table, and carnations and all different ones. That's not in fashion anymore. Now the latest thing is we have stands with flowers, small flowers that are higher on the table, or we have boxes that we've put the flowers in. So fashion changes even with events. So it's important to stay current. We do that with Google, etc. Okay, so now we've been inspired each other, we've done our brainstorming, and we've come up with our beautiful creative concept. We've put it onto artboards, we've gone to the clients, and we've said, this is what we've come up with for you. So that would be our design phase in the event management process.